Davos is officially underway. The escorts have landed, bugs are being served, and Ursula's putting on eyeliner. Just a week ago, party in the Swiss Alps for the folks who run the world. Everybody thought they did, or used to. Trudeau showed up with his new boo, Katy Perry, and somewhere there will be fireworks. But there won't be any fireworks there because someone invited Al Gore.
We are now trapping as much heat with this pollution every day as would be released by 750,000 Hiroshima-class atomic bombs exploding every 24 hours.
Something tells me Gore didn't bike to Davos. I bet Al's already started drinking because Daddy's about to land, and Daddy has needs.
I'm going to a beautiful place in Switzerland where we'll be, I'm sure I'm very happily awaited for.
Tonight, POTUS touches down in Switzerland, and to put it mildly, the Europeans have not been on their best behavior. Trump's already sent Norway an angry letter. Quote, considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars plus, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace, although it will always be predominant, but can now think about what is good and proper for the United States of America. What's good and proper for the United States of America is adopting the world's biggest island, Greenland.
We have to have it. They have to have this done. They can't protect it. Denmark, they're wonderful people. And I know the leaders are very good people, but they don't even go there. And, you know, because the boat went there 500 years ago and then left, that doesn't give you title to property.
TDS is spreading overseas faster than COVID-19. The Danish parliament sounds like a Minneapolis Democrat.
Let me put this in words you might understand. Mr. President, off.
Finland hates to watch mom and dad fight, so they told us to chill out. Only known for their vodka and saunas, and since Trump doesn't drink, the Finns offered up a sauna sesh.
Sometimes it's good to slow down, go to the sauna, take an ice bath, and then find a solution,
If you could convince President Trump to go to the sauna, I think we'll have achieved something.
From golf diplomacy to sauna diplomacy.
Why not? Isn't it hilarious listening to Europeans lecture us about a land grab when Europe colonized the entire world? Now they change the rules after they lost their power and empire? What Europe doesn't understand is that Greenland is an island in North America. You hear that? North America. And we have dominion over the entire Western Hemisphere. Europeans can't just have colonies right off the coast of Maine. We let the British have Bermuda because it's cute. But if we needed Bermuda, we'd take it. And the British would let it happen. Why is Denmark being so selfish? We bought the Virgin Islands from Denmark 100 years ago. We didn't want Germany to get a foothold in our hemisphere. At first, Denmark said no. And then we said, all right, well, we're going to just take it anyway, so you might as well just sell it. And they did. Why are the Europeans siding with Denmark over the United States? They made a very big mistake when they sent 34 soldiers to defend Greenland from us. 34. Trump was not happy.
How far are you willing to go to acquire Greenland?
You'll find out.
We've had our eye on Greenland for the last 200 years. After Andrew Johnson bought Alaska, he was drooling over the island. Truman tried to buy Greenland for $100 million. He made the offer in gold. Do you have any idea how much gold would be worth today? And let's not forget who protected Greenland when Denmark couldn't during World War II when they were conquered by Germany. We did. And we gave it back after the war. We made the Europeans give back all their colonies, but we let the Danes keep Greenland. We're too nice. What the Europeans don't understand is we're negotiating for its return, whether they like it or not.
Can I bring you back to Greenland?
No. It's unnecessary. It's the Western Hemisphere is vital for the United States of America. Our national security people are on it, and they care about it, and I'm going to leave it to them.
America will always secure its interests militarily and economically. We've purchased land from France and Russia. We've seized it from Spain and the Brits. When the world changes, we change. Globalism's dead. COVID killed it. We need shipping lanes, supply chains, and minerals to win the AI race, and the Golden Dome to protect us from enemy missiles. And we're not going to wait for the Chinese to poach the biggest island in the world right on our doorstep.
I think the president is worried that if there were an incursion into Greenland, the U.S. would be called upon to defend Greenland. Greenland's becoming more and more attractive for foreign conquest, and he very strongly believes that it must be part of the United States to prevent a conflict rather than getting the U.S. engaged in ex post into a hot conflict.
America is not going to invade Greenland. There's only 57,000 people there. It's not even necessary. It's just a bunch of native villagers on the coastline. Greenland's a sitting duck, and the Europeans aren't doing anything about it because they can't. Denmark doesn't have the money to develop it or defend it, and they won't even build roads to connect the towns. Denmark, in fact, is in violation of their NATO treaty obligations. All members must be able to defend their territory, and a few dog sleds won't cut it. And Denmark lied to us. They told Trump in 2019 they'd spend $200 million beefing up their defenses on the island, but they only spent $2 million. They just bought some binoculars. An enormous undefended island in North America, rich with military minerals, is a gaping hole in NATO. So why aren't the Europeans playing ball? Help us, help you? Denmark falls under the American security umbrella. Why wouldn't they want to make that umbrella bigger and stronger, like a golf umbrella? Canada, of all places, has gotten a free ride for decades. Guess whose side they're on?
On Arctic sovereignty, we stand firmly with Greenland and Denmark and fully support their unique right to determine Greenland's future. The middle powers must act together because if we're not at the table, we're on the menu.
Sounds like Canada's siding with China and Russia and Denmark against the United States. Looks like Greenland from the North Pole, pretty close to Russia. Russia's right in our backyard. Greenland stands right in between. If Russia fires missiles from air, sea, or land, we need Greenland to knock those missiles down early. What do you think happens if America gets peppered with missiles? The Europeans have to say bye-bye to daddy. That means they'll be speaking Russian and probably Chinese. We can't rely on a small European kingdom to protect the great United States of America. Could you imagine if the Chinese put military bases in Greenland? You think the Cuban Missile Crisis got a little hairy? Just wait. It would be completely unacceptable. Gavin Newsom, who already got wined and dined by the Chinese, is in Davos to get wined and dined by the Europeans. But Gavin managed to do the impossible, put America last and humiliate his host.
I can't take this complicity. People rolling over. I should have brought a bunch of knee pads for all the world leaders. I mean, handing out crowns and this is pathetic. This guy's playing folks for fools, and it's embarrassing.
Europeans think this is diplomacy, and this will ultimately
this is
work.
Diplomacy with Donald Trump? He's a T-Rex. You mate with him or he devours you.
Did Gavin just say the Europeans are on their knees? Gavin's some diplomat. He doesn't want to defend America and calls Macron a ladyboy. And while he's accusing others of being on their knee pads, here he is in Davos with his sugar daddy money donor, Soros the Younger. Newsom thinks Trump's the threat to America. Well, the Chinese, Russians, whatever. Macron just invited the Chinese to devour their whole economy.
China is welcome, but what we need is more Chinese foreign direct investment in Europe.
Why is Macron wearing shades? He says he has an eye infection. His wife didn't hit him this time. China's raining EVs on the Europeans, and Russia's knocking on their door in Ukraine. Macron should be running into our arms. France only has one aircraft carrier, and it's barely operational. Trump invited France to join his Gaza peace board, and Macron said no. And then texted 47 saying this: "My friend, I do not understand what you are doing in Greenland. Let us try to build great things. I can set up a G7 meeting after Davos in Paris on Thursday afternoon. Let us have a dinner together in Paris, together on Thursday before you go back to the U.S. Emmanuel, Bordeaux and Champagne just got a lot more expensive."
Any response to President Macron saying he will not join the Board of Peace?
Oh, did he say that? Well,
Yeah.
nobody wants him because he's going to be out of office very soon. So, that's all right. What I'll do is, if they feel like Costa, I'll put a 200% tariff on his wines and champagnes, and he'll join. But he doesn't have to join.
How did Macron respond to a run-of-the-mill tariff threat? He claims he's being bullied.
We do prefer respect to bullies. We do prefer science to plotism. And we do prefer rule of law to brutality. You're welcome in Europe, and you are more than welcome to France.
You know who bullied Europe? Napoleon. He brutalized the continent. Then the French conquered Algeria and Syria and Vietnam and built statues for those conquerors. The French and British tried to seize the Suez Canal. Eisenhower had to come in and say, "Guys, your game's up. We're in charge now. Back off." We've bailed the Europeans out of 2 world wars, rebuilt them with the Marshall Plan, and what did Europe do? Stopped having babies and let themselves be invaded by migrants. Now, we love the Europeans. America sprung from the bedrock of Western civilization, Europe. Those are our countrymen. But they're living in the past if they think they can dictate American foreign policy.
So you do not believe that the EU or the UK have any retaliatory financial instruments or measures in their bag that the United States should be worried about?
No.
It's gotten so bad that even liberal Wall Street executives are going to Davos and saying, "Guys, get real."
The world now places far less trust in us to help shape what comes next. If the World Economic Forum is going to be useful going forward, it has to regain that trust.
Davos told us to eat bugs, buy electric cars, and take 6 boosters. No. Authority in 2026 rests on power and realism, a.k.a. common sense. The United States is arranging a new world order based on America first. These are historic times. Politico writes this: Trump is on track to change the character of American government and this country's relationship with the world more profoundly than any predecessor in decades. So if you're being a panican, don't. We're not going to war with NATO. We're still allies. Just like the trade war, it's the art of the deal.
Everyone take a deep breath. Do not escalate. Do not escalate. And President Trump has a strategy here. Hear him out, and then everything will be fine.
So breathe with me and hit the sauna.
Want even more Fox News on YouTube? Become a Fox News Patriot today. Click join to find out how.